All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm joined once again by my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with John Burr. John, how's it going?
Feel good. I feel like James Harden. I'm where I belong. I'm back with the Russell Westbrook of podcasting, Keith Parrish.
James Harden as Daniel Day-Lewis under the waterfall, screaming to Russell Westbrook as Madeline Stowe. Stay alive. No matter what occurs, I will find you.
That's right.
It's one of the great love stories of our time.
Star-crossed.
Yet another reunion.
The age of innocence.
We're all where we are supposed to be. There's a lot to talk about because this is our first episode of the season. We get a full week of NBA basketball to talk about, and we have breaking news. I mean, it's sort of breaking. I mean, yesterday or the night, 2 nights ago, basically.
You're talking about Bismack Biyombo, I assume?
Oh, Bismack Biyombo's coming home tonight, baby.
Bismack Biyombo!
Bismack Biyombo. After the Grizzlies and Jazz play on Wednesday night, Bismack Biyombo gets signed. Ja Morant gets bumped to the suspended players list. This is a suspended players list emergency episode of Fast Break Breakfast. Come on home, Bismack. No, yeah, we got to talk about the James Harden trade. We got to have our Jacque Watch update. We get to give out our first International Stackhouse of Pancakes award of the season. Also, should we talk about Halloween? I mean, Halloween was yesterday. This is now the day after Halloween in the Christian faith. We call that the Christmas season. Welcome to the Christmas season, everyone. How was your Halloween, John?
I went to bed at 9:30. That's how my Halloween went.
You went to the bed 1 hour later than my wife.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's
she's like, I'm real tired.
It was apocalyptic. It was good for me because it let me know that my child is not like other children.
Okay.
And that I need to buckle the F up because she sprinted from house to house for 2 hours.
Oh, that's incredible. Different.
As fast as she could, trucking other children. Left our poor cousin that was just screaming her name desperately, wanting to hang out with her, left her in the dust without a care in the world.
Yeah.
Any moment we've made her have to behave anything remotely resembling a human, we are talking Reagan-esque exorcist screams.
What was she dressed
Mercedes
as?
McCambridge voice came out. We had 5 costume changes. 5 costume changes.
That's an off-Broadway one
Lady
Gaga.
Show. It was I did have a good time, but I also was completely exhausted and by the end out of my mind. And we literally could not leave until she just was laying in someone's front yard gasping for air.
Couldn't do it. She went hard. She left nothing on the table.
It's like the first time you saw Pat Beverly play basketball.
She's like Jimmy Butler at the bubble.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So with our kids, we were debating. So it sounds like your kid was going, and what? She's 2.5. She's 3, somewhere around that. 3. Okay. She's 3. So it sounds like she was going door to door. But she was cutting across lawns.
Oh,
we had a debate,
destroying people's decorations.
We were out there. We were out there in a group. We had a couple of 6-year-olds. We had a 4-year-old, and then we had the 8-year-old. And we were debating you basically, we were saying, hey, driveways and sidewalks. So driveway to door, back out to the street. And it's basically like you were running suicides because you ran to the door, you ran back to the street, then you walked over a little bit, then ran back to the next house over and over. And everybody else is just trucking through yards. So we weren't sure. It was slowing us down, and our kids are very obedient, and we don't want to break that. We don't want to be like, hey, man, it's kind of Halloween. You can do whatever you want. There were some yards that looked more like my yard where no one had raked the leaves. And then we developed a new standard. Hey, if they don't rake their yard, they don't care about their lawn. You can walk across their lawn. It's fine. We didn't get to one. This is
how people ended up in the Nazi party.
Yeah, well, we did get to one. We did get to one house, and we're like, that's a really nice lawn. They definitely rake their leaves. And one person I was with was like, well, they don't rake them. I was like, yeah, that's true. They hire out the raking 100%. No, we had a great time. Halloween has become just like, it's sort of my Christmas with like the joy attached. And I've traced this back to like the COVID year where it was like the first time we got to do anything fun that year. And also I think different because of COVID, you know, like in our neighborhood, they started putting all the candy out at the street. Mm-hmm. Still a lot of people do that, but others don't. Cause it used to be like, hey, if your light's on, you can go to that house and you can knock and say trick or treat. But now, like, my kids are trained to like, oh, if there's nothing at the street, I'm not walking up to that. Yeah, I'm probably not doing that door. But I think I was noticing the main difference between, I mean, I guess there's a lot of differences between Halloween now and Halloween when we were kids. I mean, when we were kids, you just went out. My memory was no parent. It was just always on your own. The other
different than what I remember, because basically our streets were like closed off. And it turned into like a block party.
We like sort of do that. Not officially, but people actually have started. This is very libertarian of them, and I support it. They started putting like road pylons in the middle of the road, and I'm like, oh heck yeah! Like that's not city endorsed. This is making it hard for cars to go down the roads. But yeah, we were just set free as kids, and there was traffic everywhere. Also, when we were growing up, the people at the houses decided what candy you got. You know, like you stuck your bag out and then you got what you got. And so when you got home, and I'm comparing with my brother, it's like we got sort of all the same stuff. You know, there were every little variations in our neighborhood now. Even if there isn't just a bowl at the street with a sign that says, hey, take one or take two. Even then they just basically stick the bowl out like, hey, here, take what you want. Because of this, my son got like 5 things, not like, he got 1,000 pieces of candy, but only 5 variants of candy. He's like, oh, I want a Twix.
That's what we're calling the monoculture, and that's what's happening to all of us everywhere in every regard.
There you go. So he monocultured his bag, where it's like, I didn't know you like Twix that much. You have
like movies?
80
Here's
Twix.
The 4 movies you can watch. You like books? Here's your 5 books that we put out.
You know, I hadn't put it together. That's a very good comparison you've made, John. I rewatched The Bourne Identity last night because there's 4 movies I like, and I just want to watch variations of that. When new movies come out, I'm like, hey, how similar is this to Jason Bourne? Oh, pretty similar. I'm in.
I feel like watching Jason Bourne is like, this is a far-fetched, this is a stretch. It's like reading Ulysses, where it's like, I see that this was influential, but this is now all movies, and this movie now has no impact at all.
Oh, of course.
And I can't even tell what's happening.
Yeah. Honestly, the takeaway from my rewatch of The Bourne Identity, which I don't think I've seen in like 10 years at least, the plot is way more complicated than they even make them now. Like they're like, there's a solid 20 minutes where there's like a sort of mystery where they're like looking through phone books and he's making calls, trying to solve like, who am I? They wouldn't mess with that anymore.
No, now they just create something called like the entity, and then they say like it's AI. And then Joe Biden watches it and gets scared of AI.
Once again, I see these screenshots of articles and I don't know if they're real.
Yeah.
I saw the screenshot of the article where Joe Biden was terrified by the plot to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I'm like, please don't be true.
Wait till he sees The Hunt for Red October.
And then I saw a screenshot of like how the Raiders fired their football coach, Josh McDaniels, with a fortune cookie from P.F. Chang's. And I'm like, all right, I know there's no way that's true. And now getting to the James Harden thing. Do we know the actual story of the James Harden trade? Is it true?
I think it's the owners did it.
So is that part true? The NBA said, hey, we're investigating why James Harden wasn't allowed to get on the team flight, which is, by the way, the dumbest thing the NBA's ever announced.
Yeah.
Do they not follow social media? Do they not follow their own league? Why are you confused about why James Harden is not allowed to play for the Sixers? And then, so there's a sort of report, which again, I haven't read with my own eyes. It's not that I'm not trusting of people. I'm just wary of the world and all the fake news and the screenshots.
You do your own research.
I do my own research. All right. Until I go to YouTube and see some stats for myself. I'm not a sheep. All right. No, but it's like, did the NBA tell the owners to like, hey man, you need to clean up this James Harden mess? And then did they go to the Clippers and say, are you serious? Hash this out. And then Ballmer and Josh Harris, the owners, are like, hey, y'all have to solve this. Oh, is that the story of record that we're going with?
I guess. I mean, I like it. I think I like this story so much more than Daryl Morey is washed or exhausted his attempts. I like the notion that the owners just were just they got tired of the charade.
It's like it sounds like it was akin to me solving an argument between my children when I'm like, hey, just pick a movie. Yeah. And this is like Daryl Morey being like, no, I don't want to watch. I can't watch Inside Out again. And then, right. and then, you know, who's the Clippers? Is it still, I'm
going to pretend it's Wes Unseld the third.
Michael, no, that's wrong. I like when I Googled Clippers GM, it brought up the Wizards one. I guess Trent Redden.
I don't know.
I don't know who's negotiating on the Clippers' behalf, but I like the Durden? Idea
is that Steve Ballmer's Tyler Durden?
Steve Ballmer was like, listen, I'm going to play Toy Story 3 unless you guys pick something. Mm-hmm. And they're like, fine, we'll watch Toy Story 3 again. I don't care about the ending. And so like they forced this trade to go through. You say Daryl Morey, like, did he lose the trade? I can't decide who lost the trade. Like, it seems like a fair return, right? They got an unprotected. They got an unprotected pick.
Robert Covington is back on the Sixers has turned this into like some kind of time machine trade for me, where we've reversed the course of history and now we're just back to where we were.
Did you see that Marcus
and Ben
Morris
Simmons disappeared from history? I don't know. Marcus Morris is absurd.
Again, I don't know if this is a true thing that happened, but I saw that he said I had to get out of Hollywood. It's like you're not really you're matching salary. Is it?
Is that Markieff Morris's cry for help? Is that coded language?
Peak podcaster take for this is the true key to this trade, the true win. It's got to be getting KJ Martin Jr. right. Look,
I'm sure Daryl Morey is going to
Sixers picking up KJ Martin. Yeah. Wow. What do you think before we get to our breakfasts? This is a lot of basketball talk before our breakfasts. What do you think of this? Is this good for the Clippers? The Clippers look incredible. But now they get James Harden.
I think I would say it's good for the Clippers. It's good. The Sixers look great to me as well. Like Tyrese Maxey,
is player like Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I mean the Sadiq.
Get James out of here.
I just feel like this is pretty good business for both. I reckon. There were first round picks were lost. It wasn't for nothing.
I am so sorry not to interrupt. I'm totally confused about the Thunder's role. Like I
just haven't looked it up. Team to be announced. It never happened.
Yeah. Well, they're like there's I don't know if they're like unprotecting. They're like they now I think own the Clippers 3 straight years of draft control, and there certainly was a benefit. That's why they did it. But this is again, I don't read the articles, so
you're kind of like Woj, where Woj just like fires off the tweet that it happens, and he's like, "You can get the details from Shams."
Yeah,
it's like James Harden's been traded, nothing else. Yeah, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I think
it was at like 1 or 2 a.m. I was still awake.
So Westbrook's looked really good so far, which he does that at times. Honestly, Bones Highland, I thought has looked like reborn.
Calm down.
Bit. Calm down. But I do think this is kind of like it's a borderline no risk move. I guess
listen to both sentences you just said.
No, I'm leaning into it. I'm veering into it. But it does seem like with you got Kawhi, you got Paul George. I've been saying for a while, just do it. Like
I think our answer is so short. Why the Clippers over under was so not where we thought it should be was resoundingly answered for us.
Oh man, the over unders.
I'm not really unless we're going to do apologies. I'm not really.
Let's do it under our apologies. Let's get to our breakfast, John. What breakfast have you had?
McGoss.
You've back with McGoss. I thought it's been a rocky road with the large boxes they've been giving you, the containers.
Pre-diabetic maniac, and I have become friends with these people.
Yeah,
I just like to see the same people every day. They're my neighbors that live 12 minutes away.
Solid 12 to 15. I was thinking.
Yeah. But I got a lemon-filled donut for myself, and I just kind of wanted to keep Halloween going, so I took Big Baby Davis there before school, and she had what is it? I guess it's just chocolate with what is it? Not Frosties. What am I trying to say?
Are you like Cocoa Pebbles cereal?
No, normal. It's not
just
frosting.
Just
Good
chocolate.
Lord. No chocolate. With,
are you having a stroke?
Sprinkles.
Okay.
There.
If you're having a stroke, I want to know so I can send the.
Look, I've overdosed on sleep. I haven't gone to bed at 9:30 since I was maybe 11 years old, so I don't even know what to say. Like, I was kind of thinking that I would wake up a different person, but I think you have to do this like for 3 weeks in a row to experience the benefits. I'm just befuddled.
So my kids crashed a little bit early, and they were asleep by 9. But like, yeah, my wife they get in bed and read.
What did you do while everyone else was asleep? This was some X-Files shit, I bet.
I watched Clippers Magic. And I watched.
Were you nude though?
I watched Suns Spurs, and I might have lost some clothing near the end of Suns Spurs.
Pantsless Wembanyama.
I think my wife is either depressed or lashing out with the start of the NBA season because she's gone to bed real early, basically since last Tuesday. She's like, well, it's 9 o'clock. I don't want to go and watch basketball, I guess. I'm going to bed. Anyways, that's my life.
My girlfriend thinks the podcast has ended, so this is all
that's perfect.
Subterfuge.
That's great. My breakfast was giant crunchy nerds. What are those big crunchy nerds? They're so good.
My favorite childhood candy was Nerds.
Yeah, so I don't know how long the giant.
I no longer enjoy them, and they disgust me.
I don't know how long the giant crunchy versions have been around.
You ever had Nerds on a rope? Wow.
Yeah, I don't like the word nerd rope. Kind of grosses me out. But these giant crunchy / chewy nerds are amazing. And they're basically new to me. And so I love that. That was my post-Halloween breakfast. All right. So those were our breakfasts. Now we can keep it going with our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong in a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, but we've been talking all about it so far. We probably will talk less NBA now than we have in the opening, just warning. But anyways, John, is there something you got wrong on a previous episode that you would like to apologize for?
I mean, where to begin on our over-under episode?
Well, let's start there. Before any other mistakes we might have made, if you're given a mulligan, like a lot of these sports books now, you have a cash out option. And are there any over-unders that just 7-8 days into the season, you're like, oh my God, I need out of that one?
Yeah, dude, the Grizzlies, like right now.
Yeah, so we recorded it, and I might have wagered actual money on it before we knew Steven Adams was out for the year. We were like 45 wins. That's easy.
Yeah, no.
That would. I thought about let's say they'll cash you out right now for 0.6 units. You get 60% of your bet back.
Yes, take it.
I'm thinking about it, but here's the thing. Once the Steven Adams injury news broke, the win total didn't change. Just the VIGs slid a little bit. It was still 45.5 most places.
Yeah,
and I'm
man,
like, I don't know.
I didn't think it was possible that like we'd have games where Jaren and Bane score 30 points each and we get smashed.
Yeah, what if we get 83 total from Marcus Smart, Bane, and Jaren, and they make all their 3-pointers and you still lose by 15?
I mean, it's just not. I don't recognize this team very much.
Yeah,
like I know it's early and it could be we're going through a bit of a painful rebirth of sorts.
Kings were 0-4 last season.
I know, and we play a lot of crappy teams. Look, we have a donut bet that I'm going to lose from the Patreon show.
We did a bonus episode, and you made a weird. You predicted they would win 13 of their first 25 games. They're already 0-4. We made this bet on the bonus. If you haven't seen the bonus episode, go to patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. We made this bet while they were 0-3.
Yeah.
I was like, so you're saying they're going to go, what it was, 10 and
and then, I'm feeling good.
10-9 over their next.
I look at the box score and I cover up the final score.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Are there?
We must have killed them.
Are there any non-Grizzlies impressions from the first week? We were like, I feel like I might have been way wrong on this team.
I shouldn't have done this to begin with, but I kind of got into my over-unders and butter parquet stuff pretty early. And by pretty early, that means before Miles Bridges committed more.
He's still there.
Crimes. But it sounds
James Bouknight moving out. They declined his 4th-year option. Kai Jones been waived. Miles Bridges still there.
But the Hornets energy seems poor to me.
I put real money on the Hornets over, and Brandon Miller's played well.
Brandon Miller's a stud.
Gordon Hayward's played.
I know people get excited about, guys who didn't play in college and kind of want to poo-poo the college guys, but Brandon Miller was an absolute stud.
What about any rookie of the year bets that people might have placed on Scoot Henderson
or Victor Wembanyama?
Is that a cash? Is that a cash out? Is it a cash out on Scoot Henderson, rookie of the year?
I think you cash out immediately on that. Scoot looks like he should not be playing yet.
Scoot Henderson looks like does he have a torn labrum? Like he looks like this is not at all what
Scoot Henderson looks like my child on Halloween, like going too fast, kid.
Oh man. I mean, I know it's early and everyone gets a little bit better. Rookies sometimes come out of the chute not great. Chet Holmgren, Wembanyama coming out of the chute great. I feel bad about I took the Magic under just because I was like, I'm not convinced they're better than a lot of these teams. And thank goodness they had 2 miserable second halves against the Clippers and Lakers in their trip to LA. But like, they look tough. Like they're a tough team. Like Jalen Suggs, I have him in negative fantasy, but like that guy's tough. He's like, I like how he plays. And him and Markelle Fultz together.
You have a problem with loving terrible players.
Jalen Suggs is not terrible.
So hard.
He's not terrible.
Jalen Suggs is a negative player who hurts your team for him to play on it.
I do not think that's the case anymore. He did miss a potential game. I'm worried. I think he's still going to miss enough shots and commit enough fouls to be good in negative fantasy.
Jalen Suggs busts his ass.
He's good
at that loose ball.
He's good at defense, man.
That play. He busts his ass.
I love it.
Get that loose ball. Really hard play to get that loose ball. Runs out 3-point line and takes the shot. No, never. No, that he could do that shot a million times. It's never going in.
I think I am a believer in Jalen Suggs. He's got that junkyard dog mentality.
He does have that dog in him.
Yeah, he's got that dog in him.
He tries really hard.
Having that dog in him it's that intangible, but for me, it's a very important thing about NBA players. Sure. And I think I
just need for them to also be even.
I need Wendell Carter to be better, and I need Ben Carroll to be better.
You're on this. I think how everybody's talking about Magic being a league pass team. I think the Magic are unwatchable.
Oh no, I understand that they are tough and gritty and hard to watch.
Yeah, putrid. I think you're just chasing Tony Allen till the end of your days.
Yeah,
on your deathbed, you're gonna be like, there wasn't another.
Watching the Magic with their impotent offense, but guys who try real hard is my comfort viewing, much like watching The Bourne Identity is. I'm wrapping myself up in a blanket. Up the grit and
grind era.
Yeah, I'm wrapping myself in a blanket of grit and grind Grizzlies when I'm like, I hate watching the Memphis Grizzlies. And so I'm enjoying watching the Hornets a little bit. I mean, the Magic a little bit. Here's another. I kind of thought I don't know. Actually, the Pistons have been all over the place.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about that. I think the Pistons look pretty good.
I think I took the Pistons over, and they've looked like the worst team in the NBA in 2 games, but then they won the other 2. So I don't.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
Did you see Jalen Duren eat Mark? Who's the
Mark Williams
center? Oh, he ate Mark Williams.
My apology is not keeping Jalen Duren in my fantasy league when I could have kept him from like a decent. It wasn't like a super cheap keeper price, but I'm like I could probably get him for that in the draft. And then he went for a little bit more than that, but now he looks like God basically. His first 3 games
he finally had a bad game.
Yeah, but I think he's hurt. He got banged out. Like his first 3 games were perfect.
He twisted his ankle. Yeah, he was like 15 and 17.
Did you see Jalen Duren and Cason Wallace? Both were perfect in their first 3 games. Like their effective field goal percentage for both of them was over 100. Like Cason Wallace, I think missed a shot last game. I think he's 12 out of 14 on field goal attempts for the year, and half of them are 3-pointers. Let's get to some factual errors.
Utah, I feel maybe was too high on. I think.
I actual money on the Utah under. Yeah. Nervous tonight. Another Grizzlies Jazz matchup. That's a team I bet the over against a team I bet the under, and I'm worried the wrong ones are going to win. No, factual error. Last week's show, my apology. I apologized for saying last season the Raptors traded 2 first-round picks to get Jacque Watch for no reason, because Jacque Watch was going to be a free agent, and they did it just to win 38 games. And I apologize because they won 41 games. That was not the only factual error in that sentence. They did not trade 2 first-round picks. They traded 1 first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. So hopefully
2 second-round picks is like 1 first-round pick.
Yeah, whatever.
Just simple math.
Whatever, Maury. That isn't how it works. So hopefully that's the last time I will apologize for incorrectly stating something about that trade. I've gotten 2 weeks of apologies out of it. So kudos to me for that. John, would you like to apologize for not knowing how to say Victor Wembanyama's name? Because
I'll just keep saying the only thing that I'm consistent with is inconsistency. So I'll just refer to him as Slender Man. There we go. Slender Man. Dan. Or I also like Victor. Do you remember the old actor Victor Mature?
Yeah.
I might just start calling him Victor Mature or Mature Victor.
I thought
because people keep talking about being impressed by his maturity.
Mature. I thought Slender Man was like one of the. I thought it was like
KD names.
I thought it was a character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was wrong. I'd
don't look up Slender Man and don't look up Momo either.
I already did it. No, I looked up Slender Man because I thought there are that. I mean, like Buffy had some bad guys that look very similar to that, but nice costume. Yeah. Because I called you out last week for saying Wembanyama over and over and over. And the listeners were like, hey, you didn't even notice that John said Vincent Wembanyama. I was like, you're right. He said Vincent Wembanyama. And that's our mistake.
For the record, this is something I have practiced.
Yeah, this is a bit. This is a bit. Anyways. No. You've practiced saying you're like, I'm not going to be one of those dummies.
Yes.
I'm not going to be one of those red-blooded American not learning foreign names.
I must have said Antetokounmpo like 6,000 times before the week 1 show that year. Yeah. And I've been saying Antetokounmpo. We did it we practiced so many times. Like, we're not going to be idiots. We're going to try to say the people's names right.
Light hits. I still say Nikola Jokic wrong. It's Nikola, not Nikola. So anyways,
those really? I quit.
Those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, just a word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't joined Underdog Fantasy, if you haven't joined the Underdog Pound that we have on our Slack channel, now is the time to sign up, because what John and I are doing and several listeners are doing, we're playing daily fantasy against each other, and it rules. These $3 low stakes drafts where it's 6 people. You get to draft 6 NBA players that play that night. We're only playing against Patreon supporters and listeners. So whoever wins is one of your buddies. So that's the way I like to do it. It is super fun. If you sign up using our promo code FBBF or by clicking the link in this episode's description, Underdog Fantasy will match your opening deposit up to $500. It's time to join the Underdog Pound. Come play daily fantasy against me and John. We basically have done it every single day of the NBA season so far. Watch out for Bruce. He's killing us.
I'm so bad.
Yeah. So come win our money. It's super fun to do. Also, if you live in one of the states where the higher or lower is allowed, you also get a free NFL pick when you sign up on a higher or lower. So it's a very good time to try Underdog Fantasy. Like months ago, they were matching your opening deposit up to $100. They've kicked that all the way up to $500. I don't know if they're going to bring it back down, but it's a great time to sign up. Again, use the promo code FBBF. Come play Underdog Fantasy with us. All right, steak and eggs, best thing, John. What's your best thing from the first week of the NBA season?
Honestly, I would just say just how the Sixers weathered this maelstrom.
They're so
this
good.
Nonsense. Like, it's painful for me because I think it's pretty clear that D'Anthony Melton would probably be our third best player easily. But they're just a really good team, and they are they are completely. We often say that the drama stuff is too much is made of it, and it's not as impactful as we think. But there's no finer proof than watching the Sixers as they just destroy teams. And I think this Nick Nurse thing is going to be a lot more positive than we had even considered. I'm pretty excited about the way that they're playing as well. It's a more fun style of basketball as well. So it's just been, really, Maxey to me is like already an all-star.
Oh yeah.
Obviously that good. He's better than James Harden now, which is, I don't think James Harden is bad by any stretch, but he's just a better player. And it's kind of remarkable to watch watch a team. I was told things like, this is the year Embiid is going to be so upset he demands a trade. That's obviously not happening.
Well, also with the Maxey thing, it goes to there was overlapping skill sets between him and James Harden. And we know, even if you ignore James Harden's postseason little issues that have
he scored 40 points,
arisen,
dominated.
Yeah. Every time he shot over 30% in the playoffs last year, the Sixers won those games. But there's the overlapping skill set of hey, you have Maxey who can do a lot of the same stuff, and he's awesome, and he's going to be an all-star this year. You have my favorite player, D'Anthony Melton, who is he's the perfect piece to any team that has good players. But
no, we had to have David Roddy.
That trade was an F- at the time, and it remains an F-. But you have now non-overlapping skill sets. You actually get in useful players. I think Batum and Covington,
dude,
that's an upgrade over PJ Tucker.
Yeah, that's like two better PJ Tuckers.
Yeah,
it's two PJ Tuckers, both of whom can add something to the stat sheet, whereas PJ Tucker literally does nothing. I mean,
PJ Tucker, he's like a Jalen Suggs with less speed. No, he's he does guard people. He's a good defensive player, but he gives you zero offensively. And so just getting some of these depth pieces, and I hope they trade. I mean, maybe they won't trade, but use the salary now of these guys you got. You can trade them for other stuff. This is now Daryl Morey has actual he broke up that huge salary of James Harden into smaller pieces that should be easy to swap around. But just this roster right now where it's you picked up future draft assets from the Clippers. And yeah, you lost James Harden, but you didn't want to re-sign him.
Yeah.
I don't think adding James Harden to this team gets them any further in the playoffs. This team right now might easily lose in the second round. Guess what? You were losing in the second round with James Harden too. So I don't think you lowered your ceiling at all. You also got stuff for it. And now you have I think better role players in the front court. This might hurt Mo Bamba's minutes. Paul Reed has been a little bit of a disappointment. You can play Batum as a backup center. You can play Batum and Covington in the front court and have Tobias Harris. And this roster just makes more sense to me. I feel my initial reaction was oh, Daryl Morey got he got his legs chopped out, and he kind of lost the stare down. He didn't even get Terrence Mann. But I'm man, I like what the Sixers did, and they do seem very, very good. I don't feel great about taking their under. By the way.
Oh, that's right.
My best thing is LeBron James looks more determined than ever. He looks, I want to say, he's got the eye of the tiger. He is, I think, taking this season more seriously than he ever has. And I say that because a couple of things. One, he's already blowing right through these minutes restrictions. He's oh, I got these minutes restrictions. Can't play that much. But not just that. In the first game against the Nuggets, against the reigning world champions, he's I'm going all out this year. I am shooting half-court shots when the clock runs out.
I knew that's what this had to be.
LeBron James did something he hasn't done in 4 years in that game, which is shoot a half-court shot, which is not worry about his field goal percentage.
There had to be something here.
This man in season 21 has said, you know what? I can't lose to the Nuggets anymore. I'm going to take my 4th heave in the last 10 years. He's only taken 4 half-court shots since 2011. You would think in the playoffs,
the influence of one Austin play the right way, Reeves.
Possibly.
God,
Austin Reeves made a half-quarter in the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
Kudos to him. You would think, well, in the playoffs, surely LeBron James takes heaves. Nope.
Yeah.
So
precious playoff.
LeBron James choosing not to dribble out the final seconds of the second quarter in that season opener took his 4th heave in the last 11 years. So I think he's in it to win it. Maybe he's desperate. Maybe he's desperate this year. And this is a problem that could be fixed by the NBA if they wanted to fix it. I feel like there's a lot of problems in the world. Like we could fix this if we wanted to. If they took a page out of the college basketball rule book and we're like, hey, heaves don't count against your field goal percentage. But if they go in, they do count. So it's like a free roll, but no, we don't. I mean, lots of players, I don't know if this is LeBron's legacy. Lots of players do this. Like Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I didn't think it was real. And then I would listen to Tony Allen has a local radio show in Memphis. And I listened to that and it's very much real. They don't want to, it's about making money and not affecting their percentages.
So Kevin Durant last year, no, I think it was 2 years ago. Kevin Durant has constantly in the playoffs, like he dribbles the clock out. And there's a couple, I was looking for my LeBron tweet and I found like a few years ago, an extremely egregious, like Kevin Durant had like 4 seconds left with a rebound. And it's like, you can go Tyus Edney. You can go coast to coast.
Tyus Edney, he needed 2.6 seconds to go court.
Last year, Devin Booker against the Nuggets in game 5, the series is tied 2-2. Devin Booker had just played statistically perhaps the best 4 games in NBA playoff history. Like his shooting numbers were absurd. It was a 3-point game in game 5 of the second round, series tied 2-2. He waited until after the buzzer to shoot the half-court shot. He made it. They lost the game. Lost the series. So good job. My best thing, LeBron James.
Searching for my own tweets, the Keith Parrish.
Desperate for victory, shooting half-court shots. I see you, LeBron. The opposite of our steak and eggs best thing is our cream of wheat. Worst thing, John, what's the worst thing you saw in the last week?
I mean, I don't want this to be about the Grizzlies.
Oh, you can, it's fine.
But it's the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wizards game took a lot out of me, personally, professionally, spiritually. I turned down a chance to go see Luka in person because I don't think I could handle the daunting misery of it. It's like actually much worse than I would have thought. Like I said, I didn't think these box scores could be losses.
Yeah.
If you told me this is what we were getting out of Marcus Smart, and I told you we were, and then followed that up with 0-4, I would question my sanity or view of reality. Watching it, it's a bit of a different story though. Like, doesn't feel like Marcus is a very good fit necessarily with what we have traditionally done on offense. Maybe it will be better once, because he is like used to a different style and he's a more of a half court player, and that's something that we need in the playoffs especially, but it has not exactly worked out for us. And then maybe the most painful concern is maybe realizing that maybe our coach and GM are insane.
In what sense?
So we're just going to heave threes, but we don't have anyone who can make them.
Yeah, that's the new offense is.
We're just gonna. We're obviously doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
and we're gonna live or die by the three. But when you don't have people who can make the three, that means we're going to lose most of our games.
So I've felt this way for years, and that they've proven me wrong, where it's like, well, eventually some of the threes go in. No, this is so John, on Grits and Grinds, my Grizzlies show, one of my phrases, and this might be my first ever Grits and Grind shirt, is just one of my favorite phrases is it's not bad shooting luck, it's bad shooter shooting.
Right.
And that's where they're like, oh man, bad shooting luck. We only made everyone beside Desmond Bain made 7 out of 33. You're like, yeah.
I can, and I have friends who I guess listen to like Chris Vernon's show or get themselves juiced up on Twitter, who they always point out to me like, well, if the Grizzlies just make a few more threes, we win that game. It's like, that's not what's going to happen over the course of the season. That's not the way this works. Like, it's just really, I watch it, and I do feel like I'm watching a crazy organization that talk themselves out of good players and talk themselves into believing that they had preternatural ability to just spin any draft pick into gold.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm watching Taylor Jenkins, who seems really smart. After every timeout, we smoke people. After every stoppage, we have some awesome play. So I'm like, wow, this guy's really smart. And then I watch our game plan just be pass the ball around the 3-point line and miss threes.
It's kind of funny. This is kind of giving me a little bit of joy. So last year the Grizzlies, like, Darko Rajakovic was kind of like accepted as like the offensive coach.
Yeah.
For the Grizzlies. Have you seen? He now, of course, is the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Have you seen the Raptors offense? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. That's the worst thing. It's the worst thing in the NBA. Like, they're so terrible. They have no way, like, it's the worst offense in the NBA. And that was the guy, I think that was the guy calling the shots on offense last year. And so I don't know.
And that's another thing about like talking to my friends and stuff who are like, they're looking for the answers. And like, it's like Bismack Biyombo getting picked up. And it reminds me of one of my favorite horror movies is like the 1993 Body Snatchers remake, Abel Ferrara.
Oh, I've never seen it, but okay. Yeah.
Oh, well, it has one of the scariest scenes ever where Meg Tilly, who's been turned into a pod person.
Yeah.
They finally realize that her husband finally realizes that she is one. And her line is, this is not an isolated incident. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to run? Where are you going to hide? That's right. Nowhere. No one's coming to save you. And it's just like, yeah, no.
Someone's coming to save John. John Morant's coming to save. John Morant's coming to save us. John, I had the best idea ever. I had the best idea ever two days ago.
The Advent calendar?
The Advent.
Get ready, folks.
The 25
time? We
25 game suspension. We should have an Advent calendar. Because now I'm like, well, 4 games down. Only 21 to go. And I'm like, man, I should be opening a little prize. I should have my kids get a little piece of candy out.
Should I talk to my company's merch partner?
If we can get this turned around, I feel sad that we missed because the 25 is the Advent. Like we
need more patrons. If we get 20 more patrons today.
Oh man. By the way, I will shout out right now before I come back to this Grizzlies thing. Shout out latest patrons: Jason Rushing, Russell Henson, Ian Ramsey, Chris Anthony, Forrest, and Mike Hardy. Thank you for signing up to support the creation of this show and the creation of Grits and Grinds. No, the Grizzlies in their front office, like, I get it. Like, you drafted Desmond Bain, you drafted Santi Aldama, you drafted Xavier Tillman. Like, those are all home run draft picks. But yes. By
the way, that Meg Tilly speech ends with someone screaming "Ja" at the end, just like in the movie.
That's yeah.
Ja!
No, it's very frustrating with the Grizzlies voluntarily getting worse last year, and now it's like, hey, these guys still aren't better than the players who traded away. Like, they're still like.
So, who's your least favorite Grizzly right now? That's a question I like to. I have more interest in that.
I don't really have one.
Yes,
I don't think
it's David Roddy.
No, I don't mind rock. Like I don't. They're all the same to me.
Mitchell asked in the chat, "What about faith-based Laravia?"
They're all the same.
Yeah, okay.
They're all the same to me. Like Derrick Rose is I think 7 out of 30 on 2-pointers.
He sucks.
Somebody on YouTube commented like, "Hey, this guy must have a vendetta after Derrick Rose." After I was talking about how like, "Hey, he was pretty bad against the Wizards." Next game, no points and 1 assist. Tonight's game, he's getting rested basically.
Also,
which I'm like,
I had no idea he was going to play this much. No idea.
Whew.
That was not in my realm of possibilities.
Let's move on. My worst thing actually kind of overlaps with a listener question. So we're going to wrap my worst thing with the listener submitted croissant questioner. If you'll do the honors, John.
Mitchell asks, who's also in the chat, throwing out some gold. Mitchell is torn. Steph Curry celebration. The night or the face grab celebration he just pulled out on Dylan Brooks. Cheesy or cool?
So Mitchell, thank you for joining us in playback. I know you're a Grizzlies fan. I think the night is cool. I thought the face grab, Steph Curry scream,
the Edvard Munchen.
Yeah, that is my worst thing this week. I thought it was tasteless. I thought it was rude. It was poor sportsmanship. It isn't enough that Steph Curry ruined basketball by being better at shooting than anyone ever.
Good point.
Now you have Jordan Poole making a mockery of the game and humiliating himself, trying to be a Steph Curry imitator. Youth basketball is unwatchable. Not only that, to just denigrate your opponents. It was Joe Buck watching Randy Moss do the move in the crowd. A disgusting act. Yeah.
Oh, the humanity.
I think Steph Curry is easily one of the most entertaining basketball players of all time. It's gone too far.
I like how
his influence over the youth. Maybe it's now that I have kids.
Each warrior has slowly been turned to a villain in Keith's eyes, and now it's Steph's turn.
I don't like Steph. I don't like Clay. I don't like Draymond. Never like Chris Paul.
Oh, that's another over-under, which I think most people wish they could have back.
No, they're gonna chill out. I feel fine. They're aiming to they're gonna go a half game either way. Whatever it was, like 48.5, 47.5. Yeah, they're heading right towards that. Yeah. So my worst thing is I was disgusted by the act. John, as the croissant question from our Patreon supporter, what was your view on whether these celebrations are cool or corny?
Oh, it was really funny.
Really funny. Okay.
Yeah, like super funny. I
mean,
he made a fool out of him and then made a funny face. What's not to love?
That's a good point.
There's on skates, and then there's Dylan Brooks's pants were around his ankles at the end of that play.
Yeah. I mean, no one, the problem with Dylan Brooks' defense there, it's like no one can stop that move. Basically.
No.
Also, John,
I don't think that reflects poorly on Dylan Brooks. It's just, whoa. I mean, whoa.
So, John, you talked about how like the Grizzlies are 0-4 and Marcus Smart has been great. Like his shooting numbers are awesome. What about the other winless team in the NBA, the Rockets? Dylan Brooks' shooting splits. He's 53, 54, 100. His effective field goal percentage is 65%, which is like the same as Jokic. And the Rockets have been not close. I guess they were kind of close in the Spurs game. But Dylan Brooks is shooting the ball amazingly. And despite that, Rockets winless. Anyways, that was a listener submitted question. If you want your question to be answered on air or as part of the monthly bonus episode that John and I did just yesterday, 2 days ago, you have to join us over at patreon.com. Also, if you join us at patreon.com, you get access to the Slack channel. There may or may not be a Grizzlies mailbag bonus episode coming out in November. So if you want to support the creation of this show, perhaps the NBA's longest independently running Basketball podcast? I don't know. We're in season 10 of it. So if you want to support the creation of the show, get access to the bonus episode and join the Slack channel, do it all at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. It is now, John, time for the awards segment of the program. The season's first International Stackhouse of Pancakes negative fantasy league. The International Stackhouse of Pancakes award given to the worst performance in a box score. This week's award, I was nervous coming into it because like the first week, there's normally a ton of horrible shooting performances, and it's really hard to parse out who we should pick. Nope.
I know who we're not seeing. Jalen Duren, Cam Thomas. There have been some insanely pure shooting performances.
So Cam Thomas, I think the first player in Nets franchise history to have 3 straight 30-point games to start a season. His Cam buddy, Cam Whitmore. If you took Cam Whitmore, which seemed like a good draft pick in our International Stackhouse of Pancakes negative fantasy league, apologies. He's only gotten 1 shot up so far. You got to like Dylan Brooke Cook. No time for Cam Whitmore. Anyways, no, there were 3 outstanding people who were head and shoulders above everyone else this week. So thank you for making my job easy. Before we get to them, a few honorable mentions. Fred VanVleet was 2 for 13, which frankly is just a regular Wednesday for Fred.
It's just Fred.
Trae Young had a 4 for 19. Tyler Hero, a 7 for 24. And Anthony Edwards, an 8 for 27. That is an impressive performance, Anthony, but those were just our honorable mentions. Our 3 nominees this week. First of all, we have Julius Randle in a loss to the Celtics. Julius Randle was 5 for 22 from the field. He did have 14 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 0 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Next up, Austin Reeves in an overtime loss to the Kings. I Am Him had 5 points on 1 for 12 shooting.
Ice in his vein.
1 for 12, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls.
Got a dose of the off night.
And then, our final nominee, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Woo!
In a blowout, humiliating home loss to
changed my perspective on him as a player.
Man, thoughts and prayers to anyone who took him in underdog fantasy that night with their first pick. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander he had his lowest scoring game. I think this is his rookie season. That stat might be wrong. He was 2 for 16 from the field.
Oh,
7 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, no turnovers, 2 personal fouls. So our 3 nominees.
Stop the damn fight. It is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Ooh, I am conflicted about it. Now, all right, our 3 nominees were Shai was 2 for 16, 7 points, 7 assists. Austin Reeves was 1 for 12, 5 points, 2 assists. Julius Randle was 5 for 22, 14 points, 11 boards, 7 assists. So I'm throwing out Julius Randle.
Okay.
Despite his volume.
I've got Shai. We'll let the chat decide.
I thought Austin Reeves.
You're doing Austin Reeves.
Yeah, no,
I thought out Julius Randle.
Yeah, I'm throwing out Julius Randle. For me, it's down to Austin Reeves or Shai. I think I don't want to turn it over. I don't want to turn it over to the chat this early in the year. Let's go Shai. I will agree with you.
They were all going to vote Shai.
Okay. The 1 for 12, 5 points, 3 turnovers, 2 fouls. That is horrific. But 2 for 16, maybe I think statistically more rare. If we did, I am curious if we did the blind ballot. If I just told you one guy was 2 for 16, 7.7 assists, and the other one was 1 for 12, maybe it would have swayed, but it doesn't matter.
2 for 16 is so much somehow. I know it's only 4 more shots, but it seems so much more gross to me.
That works. That's fine with me. Congratulations, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, probably going to be the only International Stackhouse of Pancakes award of your life. Congratulations on winning the first one of the 2023-2024 season. All right, John. Kudos to me. Our segment in honor of Dylan Brooks. What do you have a kudos to me through this first week? I'll tell you my kudos to me. My kudos to me, as I said in the preseason when they announced that the referees are going to have the leeway to call technical fouls for flopping, that this was going to be a messy rule. The problem with flopping is that it tricks the referees. So like best case scenario, they're only going to notice that like, hey, you faked that. Like in my mind, a smaller percentage of the time. Like it's going to be like less than 50% of the time they understand, hey, I got tricked there. But we're going to see technical fouls given out for calls that were missed. And that happened where like Jalen Brunson, I believe he did receive the technical foul for flopping, although it basically was close to a flagrant foul because he landed on someone's foot when he went down. And so kudos to me. I was right. This is going to be messy. But however, to my officiating brethren, keep up the good fight. We appreciate your work. Also, the NBA is finding guys again for flops. So kudos to me. I got that right. Is there a kudos to me you'd like to do, John?
I said that I didn't think the Heat cared about the preseason, and Tyler Hero leading all players in minutes played is absolute proof of that.
Well, there you go. Yep. Also, I don't think that you said that he
regular season rather.
Oh, I was going to say they don't care about the preseason or the regular season. There you go. You misspoke. Yeah. They do not care.
Win banana.
The regular season.
They just don't, and they don't care about the fines. They're just going to do what they're going to do. Riley thinks he's grandfathered in. No one's playing any games.
I am curious about this. Like we've already seen. So the league was like,
it's already miserable.
We have player participation policy implemented this year, and it's like the first week of the season, it's like, oh, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker are out for the Suns, and they're still out, and everyone is still just missing games constantly. I mean, I don't know if it matters at all. Like, does it? It doesn't affect my enjoyment of the league, I don't think, but I know it's for the more casual fans. It's for the national TV broadcast on Thursday nights and for Saturday nights. So I can't tell if there's any change whatsoever to this. But anyways, let's do our par fadeaway, John. Let's take some time to luxuriate in our par fadeaways, to look ahead to things coming up in the week. Well, I've got a few I want to get to. What's your good one? What are you looking forward to?
The unstoppably bad object versus the immovably poor offense. I'm going to see the Heat and Grizzlies with our dearly departed Chuckster.
Oh, nice. When's that game?
We'll see. I think it's Wednesday next week.
Oh, very, very cool.
So I'll get to I've already experienced the Grizz live once. Let's see, what is it? Fool me once, fool me twice. I think I have 3 before I'm.
Well, you saw a good. John.
That was the best one. Yeah, that was the best one.
You went to the Grizzlies Nuggets game last Friday, which, by the way, I tracked this out. During that game last Friday, October 27th, from 9:15 p.m. to 9:19 p.m., those are the only 4 minutes the Grizzlies have been ahead in a second half in the last 6 months.
I hate your guts.
We had a watch party, and those 4 minutes, and honestly, it would have been way shorter, but there was a challenged foul call. So the 4 minutes of real life time from 9:15 to 9:19, 3 minutes we're reviewing a John Conchar foul that was, in fact, overturned. It was a clean block. The Grizzlies have not been ahead very much. By the way, next Friday night, November 10th, if you're in the Nashville area, we will be having a watch party for the Grizzlies against the Jazz, which is part of the in-season tournament watch party. So if you're anywhere near Nashville, come to Noble's Beer Hall. I'll be giving away Grizzlies prizes then. This is, again, Friday, November 10th against the Jazz. Another par fadeaway, John. It is the in-season tournament. Have you seen the courts for the in-season tournament?
I've seen a few. Very strange.
I saw the Grizzlies one, and it's like gray, and it looks like a Vanderbilt colored thing. And I'm like, this is fine. I don't really like gray courts. It looks like the movie Pleasantville. It looks like something's wrong with my television usually.
And gray seems to be everywhere.
It does seem to be everywhere.
And it reminds me of the Confederate South, and I want to get it canceled so we don't have to deal with it.
Let's hit on that statue, man. But then I saw other courts, and there are wild courts. Like the Clippers court is irresponsible. The Pelicans court is madness. The Pacers court is madness. And I'm not sure how it's going to look. The NBA did do one good thing about this. And I am looking forward to seeing how it comes across on television. They have mandated, this was not part of their PPP mandates. They have told the teams, or they've assigned the teams, all the road teams have to wear white jerseys. So like, it's going to be white jerseys and not like new ones. Like your normal regular white jersey is what every away team is going to wear. So all the new city jerseys that match the new courts, hopefully it'll pop. If we can just get like the score bug to have the proper colors on there, maybe the TV presentation will be all right. But I'm looking forward to that. Also, John, to wrap this show up, I want to know your thought, and I didn't prep you for this. Apologies. I want to know your thoughts kind of on like, you can use whatever kind of standards you want, but right now, what are like the teams where you're thinking, oh my gosh, those teams are bottoming out, or like they're whatever. It can either be the worst teams or the teams that are like on the worst trajectory, or if you go and then the opposite way. Who do you think are maybe the best teams, absolutely, or a team that you think is, hey, that team is playing way better than I might have thought?
I think the usual suspects are as determined. I think Boston and Denver look incredibly elite. I think the Thunder are trending upwards despite the one blowout.
Well, Chet is perfect. I'm sorry, yes. Chet is so good, and
I guess a team that I had an inkling might be bad, but I think until they resolve their issues with their most talented player, I think the Timberwolves look troubled to me. A team that I just think he's somehow underrated. The Mavericks are going to be good if Luka plays.
So the Mavericks are a team that have exceeded my expectations so far in the early season. Of course, they're 3-0. And like they're getting contributions from Tim Hardaway Jr. playing really, really well.
Yep.
They beat the Grizzlies even without Kyrie.
Derek Lively has been lively a couple of times.
Has been lively. The Mavericks are, I think, a team trending up for me where I'm like, okay, I thought maybe we'd have a weird Jason Kidd hangover where they're like totally on the team. I thought disaster was a more likely outcome than having a good year, but perhaps all they need is just Luka to play, and they've looked good. Again, repeating myself that like the Clippers have seemed great. Every time I watch the Clippers play, I'm like, this is, I don't know, like maybe it's just carried away that whenever Kawhi and Paul George play, like
when those guys all play, it's hard to argue with it, but remains to be seen.
I think the Nuggets, what can you say? Still special. The Sixers, because of Maxey and just
the Nuggets are what the Grizzlies think they are, where they're just like, oh, we'll let that guy. Here's Peyton Watson.
Yeah,
like they have organizational purity at selecting players, and I don't mean that in a Spurs eugenics way.
Thank you for the clarification. I mean, they have Jokic, and that's just the also like. You don't have to do anything. I mean, that's like the Tim Duncan effect in San Antonio, with all respect to Pop.
And I don't really want to give Dallas any credit either. It's not like they added Grant Williams and became the number one offense because of that. They just have the best offensive players, so they have the best offense right now.
Yeah.
They're number one. It's been 4 games, but that's not a team you expect to see as the number one offense, especially with
I think sort of trending down. Maybe not trending down is not the right word. I was not as high. I thought the seed was not going to be as good as the Nuggets, but I did think the Bucks were going to be the second best team in the NBA. And like their season so far has been And I know
they're like 2-1, right?
Yeah, but they will take the whole year to kind of get in shape. I think the most staggering to me has been that like, I thought maybe the Timberwolves would have like some kind of like gelling in the offseason, and it doesn't feel like they did. I mean, they're not hard off or anything, but like I thought they would immediately be better. I thought they would bank early wins, and so far they've looked like this is not that good. Who is it?
Cleveland.
Yeah.
I know Mitchell missed a game and Mobley stepped up.
Darius Garland's not playing though, so that's throw it out basically. Darius Garland played the first game with a hurt hamstring. I think he had 6 turnovers in that game. I think like I don't know that because I have him in a fantasy league. But he so Darius Garland's been out, and so like I can't be that worried about Cleveland. I mean, everybody else.
I do think Max Strus is going to like win fantasy leagues this year.
The two guys, as we go to our fantasy corner,
the fantasy scramble, ramble.
The two guys who I'm like, they're going to win fantasy leagues. Well, one, Jalen Duren. Two.
Oh, yes.
Two, like the guys that you probably that probably were undrafted that you could have like picked up on your waiver wire the first few weeks is like a Max Strus and also Jalen Johnson of the Hawks. I don't know if that'll cool down. That dude looks awesome at real basketball. You're like, oh, like he's incredible.
But he's not just gonna like. It's gonna take at least half the year for him to get by Sadiq Bey somehow.
He's already playing. They're playing all those guys, Bey and Hunter and Johnson. They're all playing like 30 minutes. Eventually, Capella's going to get DMP'd. I think as Quinn Snyder, I think figures it out. Those minutes are trending down.
We tried to tell you to take Ben Simmons too.
I got outbid in both leagues I was in.
We tried to take you.
I saved. I think here's the problem. I said on the show, I'm going to get Ben Simmons in every fantasy league I'm in. And I think maybe other people are like, well, I'm going to go for Ben Simmons too. So I obviously shouldn't have said it out loud.
Hey, that's the pundit's price.
Here's my real part fadeaway. And one of my great joys of every NBA season. It's been a great joy of all years of Fast Break Breakfast. It's the Jacque Watch, baby. The Jacque Watch in honor of Jacque Vaughn holding the NBA record for starting a season by missing his first 22 field goal attempts. It's time to monitor if we have anybody on the Jacque Watch leaderboard. We're hoping for the record to be set. I don't know if we're going to get it this year, but we have one guy right now, John, who's creeping up. This isn't an official.
It's no longer Grayson.
This isn't an official Jacque Watch. I think you have to miss your first. I think maybe all time. Yes, the Jacque Watch is just monitoring to see who misses the most shots to start the season. But like an actual Jacque Watch, when we start sending out the alerts, it's when you get to 10. So we're not there yet. We're just we're like at a Jacque. I'm going to say like a Jacque. It's like we have a tingling of the Jacque Watch.
Let's call it the Jacque. You say.
Let's call it the Jacque itch. They're done.
Flex all in the Jacque.
Yeah.
Strap.
So we have a Jacque itch working right now, which is Jalen McDaniels. He's 0 for 8. 0 for 8 on the season. He is leading the Jacque Watch right now. All 3-pointers. There are some other guys who might have something cooking. I always keep my eye on rookies. Right now, Jarris Walker of the Pacers is 0 for 5. Luke Kennard is 0 for 5. Ryan Rollins is 0 for 5. I do have my eye on Pokashevsky. He's 0 for 4, but you might remember his rookie year. He gave us an 0 for 14. One of the great Jacque Watches of the 10 years of the show. By the way, our all-time, never to be repeated, probably Jacque Watch best moment in the years of doing the show. Remember Jamal Murray. He missed his first 17 shots his rookie season. So keep doing what you're doing, Jalen McDaniels. I look forward to hopefully when we meet next week, we will have a very important Jacque Watch update. And anyways, that is the episode for today. If you want to support our program, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Get bonus episodes. Join the Slack channel where you can talk about movies and basketball and whatever else around the clock. Join Underdog Fantasy. So then you can go into the Slack channel and say, hey, I'm ready to draft. Who's with me?
I'm joining a draft right now.
Wait for me. I got to hit and stop recording and I'm in. No, join Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code FBBF. Remember, they will match your opening deposit up to $500. Subscribe to the Fast Break Breakfast YouTube channel. Anyways, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
I'm in there.
I will remember.